Hello, we're on page 137. We are on 8C. We are continuing our quest of all things factoring in Unit 8. And now we're going to talk about yet another method to do yet another process. So just looking inside this box here, we have multiplied these binomials before. And if we did that, we could do double distribution, or you could just do the FOIL method. If you have a quick down and dirty shortcut, you'd have x squared, and then you'd have this one minus 5x, and this one plus 2x, and then the outer one's minus 10, which of course simplifies to x squared minus 3x minus 10. So this is the multiplied out product of those two factors. We are going to, in this section, look back of going back the other way. We are going to go from this back to this. And there is, of course, a method. So this works when you are factoring a trinomial, a three-term polynomial, called a trinomial. If you have more than 3 terms, then we don't use the AC method. First thing you do is write in standard form. So remembering that you have your highest exponent and whatever his coefficient that we're going to call A coming first, and then coefficient in front of the variable to the first power, and on the back end is your constant. So these first two examples are just writing these three-term trinomials in standard form. So m squared is going to come to the front because that's the highest exponent, plus 3m minus 5. Now, this is in standard form. And we are going to pluck off the coefficients, the a and the b, and the constant, and identify them because we're going to be using them down here in our process to factor our trinomials. So a is positive 7, b is positive 3, and c is negative 5. This sign goes, the sign in front, here's the ghostly positive sign, goes with your number. So in the second example, again, this one is a little interesting because you've got both an x squared and a y squared. When that happens, generally speaking, you go in alphabetic order. So x squared, x comes before y in the alphabet, so we're going to choose to put the x squared term first, then the x to the first term, and finally the constant term is this guy that has absolutely no x's in it at all. So again, if we want to identify, our a is positive 5, our B is positive 18, and our C is positive 6. So we're going to use this information to actually factor something that looks like this, and to get back to the two factors that we started with. And here's what you do. You put your form, you put your trinomial in standard form that looks just like this. And then you multiply A times C. So A times C. You multiply those two guys together. And then you list all the pairs of factors of that product of AC until you find one that adds or subtracts to get the B value. Split the middle term. Just write this down. You'll understand it better when we do it. Split the middle term of the trinomial using that pair of factors, and then factor by grouping. Sounds like a lot. You'll get it. So let's look at this first one. It's in standard form. A is equal to 1, the coefficient of x squared. B is equal to 5, and C is equal to 6. Multiply A times C, which is 6. 1 times 6 is 6. The second step, find the factors of 6. So we have 1 and 6 is a pair. Negative 1 and negative 6 also multiplies to positive 6. 2 and 3, and negative 2 and negative 3. So of these, which ones add, which pair of those add to B, which is 5, this guy right here. So if you look, there's only one pair of these guys that when you add them together, you get positive 5, and that's this guy right here. So we are going to take this middle term right here, and instead of writing him as 5x, we're going to split him up into 2x plus 3x. So we now have x squared plus 2x plus 3x plus 6. So all I did was rewrite this guy right here as 2x plus 3x. And of course, when you add 2x plus 3x, you get 5x. But what I've done now is I've created 4 terms. And we can factor these guys by grouping, which was what we did in the last lesson. So if you look at these two and you look at these two, and you factor out what's in common, that leaves you with this for the first 2 terms, and it leaves you with this for the second 2 terms. Now we are going to factor out our common factor of x plus 2. He comes to the outside, and x plus 3 is left on the inside. And there is your factored version of x squared plus 5x plus 6. Is that the one we started with up here? Way up here? No. Okay, so when you get your answer, once again, you can prove that you're right, because when you multiply, when you do the double distribution or you do your FOIL back again, you better end up with x squared plus 5x plus 6. You can prove that this is your answer. All right, I am going to stop the video and then we'll continue on. I'll either continue on with this one in the next video or we'll do this in class. Thanks for watching. Practice.